Here's the truth few dare to say. Reasoning with a narcissist rarely works. Every argument, every explanation, every plea for understanding is wasted energy, unless you know the exact words that change everything. Because when spoken correctly, these words don't beg, they don't explain, they command respect. And once they hear them, they can't disregard your boundaries again. If this is hitting home, pause and think. How often have you given away your power by explaining, pleading, or defending yourself? Share this message and start practicing these words today. Awareness is the first step toward reclaiming your power. The sudden realization that most people have been approaching narcissists completely wrong. For years, you may have tried reasoning, explaining, or pleading, thinking that if you just made your case clear enough, they would understand, acknowledge your feelings, or treat you with the respect you deserve. You might have apologized unnecessarily, justified your actions repeatedly, or over-explained yourself in hopes of avoiding conflict. The shocking truth is that none of these strategies work because narcissists do not respect reasoning or empathy, they exploit it. The cold shock is the moment when you understand that trying to win approval, earn acknowledgement, or appeal to their conscience is futile. It can feel disorienting and even discouraging because it goes against how most of us are taught to resolve conflict. This realization forces a paradigm shift. Respect from a narcissist is not granted based on explanations, emotions, or justification. It comes only from clarity, consistency, and firm, non-negotiable boundaries. The moment you accept this truth, you gain perspective on why previous attempts at communication failed and why your energy was being drained. The cold shock is necessary because it disrupts the old pattern and prepares you to act differently. It signals that your approach must be strategic rather than reactive, calm rather than pleading, and grounded in self-respect rather than dependence on their approval. Recognizing this moment is the first step in reclaiming authority over your own life and ensuring that your boundaries are taken seriously. Establish unshakable boundaries is about setting limits that a narcissist cannot ignore or manipulate. Narcissists thrive on testing the flexibility of others. They push, guilt, provoke, and exploit emotional reactions to see how far they can go. If boundaries are vague, negotiable, or inconsistent, they will quickly discover ways to cross them without consequence. Establishing unshakable boundaries means clearly defining what behavior is unacceptable and what you will no longer tolerate, then enforcing those limits consistently. These boundaries are not negotiable. They are not suggestions or guidelines. They are firm lines drawn to protect your emotional, mental, and even physical space. When communicated clearly, these boundaries signal strength, self-respect, and awareness. Narcissists instinctively recognize this strength, even if they resist or attempt to test it at first. Importantly, unshakable boundaries are paired with calm enforcement. It is not about drama, threats, or reactive anger. It is about consistency and clarity. Every time a boundary is maintained, the narcissist learns that their usual tactics, manipulation, gaslighting, provocation, will not work. Over time, these reinforced limits reduce their ability to exploit or control because the power dynamic shifts. By establishing unshakable boundaries, you communicate that your energy and dignity are non-negotiable. This step is critical because respect from a narcissist is rarely given freely. It is earned through demonstration of self-possession and steadfast limits. Unshakable boundaries form the foundation for any words or actions that will make them take you seriously and cease their disrespectful behavior. Use clarity over emotion is about communicating in a way that leaves no room for manipulation. Narcissists thrive on emotional reactions. They feed off confusion, guilt, frustration, and any display of vulnerability that can be twisted to their advantage. When you approach them with pleading, justification, or emotional appeals, you unintentionally hand them leverage. They interpret passion or upset as an opportunity to regain control, manipulate your perception, or provoke further reaction. Clarity, on the other hand, removes the emotional fuel that powers their influence. Speaking clearly, calmly, and directly about your boundaries, expectations, or decisions conveys authority and confidence. It signals that your worth is inherent and non-negotiable, and that their attempts to distort, guilt, or provoke will not succeed. This approach does not mean being cold or unkind. It means removing ambiguity, eliminating the need for negotiation, and asserting yourself from a position of certainty. Over time, clarity becomes a shield. The narcissist may resist, test, or push against your statements initially, but repeated, calm delivery reinforces the fact that you cannot be swayed by manipulation. Clarity ensures that your words align with action, so your communication is credible and backed by consequences. In essence, speaking with clarity transforms conversation from a potential battlefield into a demonstration of self-possession. Narcissists may not like it, but they cannot ignore it. Your clear, emotion-free communication becomes the foundation for maintaining respect and controlling the dynamic, ensuring that boundaries are acknowledged and that attempts at disrespect are no longer tolerated. Refuse justification is about eliminating the need to explain or defend your worth to a narcissist. Narcissists thrive when others feel compelled to prove themselves because it reinforces a dynamic of control and dependency. Every explanation, apology, or defense is an opportunity for them to manipulate, guilt, or diminish your sense of value. When you justify your actions, feelings, or decisions, you are placing your worth in their hands, which undermines your authority and self-respect. Refusing to justify yourself sends a clear signal. Your value is inherent, non-negotiable, and not contingent on their acknowledgement or approval. It shifts the power dynamic because the narcissist no longer controls the narrative or defines your worth. This does not mean being rude, dismissive, or aggressive. It means calmly stating your boundaries, decisions, or perspectives and allowing them to exist without argument or defense. Over time, this approach communicates consistency and strength. The narcissist learns that attempts to provoke explanation or reaction will fail, which forces them to interact with you on your terms, not theirs. Refusing justification also preserves your emotional energy, reduces vulnerability to manipulation, and reinforces internal clarity. By making your worth undeniable through action and self-possession rather than words of defense, you establish authority that is difficult for a narcissist to challenge. In essence, when you stop negotiating your value, you remove the tools they rely on to dominate or exploit, ensuring that your boundaries and dignity are respected consistently. Detach from their reaction is about maintaining control by refusing to give a narcissist power over your emotions. Narcissists thrive on emotional responses. They feed on anger, guilt, frustration, or panic because those reactions validate their control and provide them with attention. When you allow their behavior to dictate how you feel, you are essentially giving them a lever to manipulate, provoke, or destabilize you. Detachment does not mean indifference to your own emotions. It means regulating your reactions so that they cannot use them against you. By remaining calm, composed, and consistent, you remove the emotional fuel they rely on to dominate interactions. This detachment allows you to deliver your words or enforce your boundaries with authority and clarity rather than desperation or pleading. It communicates that your self-worth and emotional state are not contingent on their approval, manipulation, or acknowledgement. Over time, this approach changes the dynamic. The narcissist cannot provoke, guilt, or intimidate you because your internal state remains steady and predictable. Detachment also allows you to act strategically rather than reactively. Decisions, consequences, and boundaries are enforced based on principle, not emotional escalation. By separating your emotional stability from their behavior, you reclaim control over interactions, protect your energy, and reinforce your authority. In essence, detaching from their reaction turns a potentially manipulative exchange into a demonstration of self-possession, making it far more likely that the narcissist will respect your words, boundaries, and personal space. Consistency is key, emphasizes that repeating your words and actions calmly and reliably is what enforces respect from a narcissist over time. Narcissists are constantly testing limits, probing for weakness, and seeking opportunities to manipulate. If your responses, boundaries, or statements are inconsistent, they quickly detect gaps and exploit them, using confusion or hesitation to regain control. Consistency, on the other hand, communicates strength and reliability. When you say something once and follow through every time, it signals that your boundaries and expectations are non-negotiable. This creates a pattern the narcissist cannot easily bend or ignore. Consistency is not about rigidity or hostility. It is about predictability in upholding your principles, enforcing consequences, and maintaining emotional control. Each repeated action reinforces the idea that you cannot be manipulated, intimidated, or swayed by their tactics. Over time, the narcissist learns that crossing your boundaries has consequences and that attempts to provoke a reaction will fail. This reliability in communication and behavior gradually rewires the dynamic, shifting the balance of power toward you. Without consistency, even the strongest words or boundaries can be undermined by occasional lapses, leaving room for disrespect. By consistently enforcing limits, delivering statements with clarity, and detaching from their reaction every time, you build a foundation that commands respect. Repetition, calm authority, and unwavering adherence to your principles make it clear to a narcissist that future disrespect is unacceptable and will not be tolerated, effectively protecting your dignity and self-respect. Use consequences, not threats, is about reinforcing your words with action rather than relying on intimidation or anger. Narcissists are skilled at detecting fear, hesitation, or empty warnings, and they often exploit these weaknesses to push boundaries further. Simply threatening consequences rarely works because a narcissist tests whether you are willing to follow through. True respect comes when they understand that your boundaries are backed by consistent, calm action. For example, if a narcissist crosses a limit, removing access, disengaging, or taking steps that protect your emotional or physical space communicates that your words are not negotiable. This approach is not about revenge or dramatics. It is about aligning action with principle. When consequences are applied without emotion, pleading, or justification, they send a clear message. Your limits are real, your worth is non-negotiable, and further disrespect will have predictable results. Over time, these actions teach a narcissist that manipulation, provocation, or coercion will not succeed, shifting the power dynamic in your favor. Unlike threats, which can be ignored or challenged, consequences are tangible demonstrations of authority and self-possession. They remove ambiguity, prevent repeated boundary violations, and reinforce the clarity of your words. By consistently applying consequences, you protect your energy, reinforce respect, and establish a standard that cannot be easily undermined, ensuring that the narcissist learns to take you seriously and refrain from future attempts at disrespect. When dealing with a narcissist, the key to earning lasting respect is not in pleading, over-explaining, or trying to reason with them. It is in aligning your words with clarity, boundaries, and consistent action. Narcissists thrive on emotional reactions, manipulation, and uncertainty. Every explanation, apology, or attempt to justify yourself gives them leverage to twist, provoke, or control. The power lies in speaking with calm authority, refusing to negotiate your worth, and detaching from their attempts to elicit a reaction. By establishing unshakable boundaries and reinforcing them consistently, you create a framework they cannot exploit. The words you choose are only as effective as the actions behind them. Delivering consequences without drama, repeating statements with unwavering calm, and refusing to justify or defend yourself signals that your energy, time, and dignity are non-negotiable. Over time, the narcissist learns that their usual tactics, provocation, guilt, and manipulation, will not succeed. Respect is not granted because they admire you. It is earned because they recognize your authority, self-possession, and emotional independence. The combination of clarity, consistency, boundaries, and action transforms interactions from battlegrounds of manipulation into demonstrations of self-respect and control. By speaking your truth firmly, following through with consequences, and protecting your emotional space, you create a dynamic in which disrespect is no longer tolerated. The narcissist may resist, but repeated demonstration of these principles teaches them that future violations are futile. Ultimately, the words you choose, aligned with boundaries and action, become a tool for reclaiming your power, asserting your value, and ensuring that you are treated with the respect you deserve permanently.